Hey, Drew here from Learn Guitar in London. Hope you're good and your guitar playing is going well. What this video lesson is all about is my top 5 bad habits that I see in beginner guitarists, okay? So from all the years that I've been teaching beginners, these are some of the reoccurring things that keep cropping up. So if you are starting out with a guitar, these are my top 5 things that you really need to be avoiding, because what it's going to do is it's going to cripple the way that you're playing the guitar over time, okay? Now, just before I go into this, there's a little bit of a disclaimer. With everyone's body shape is slightly different, and what I'm going to be talking about is body shape, but this is just general practices, okay? So body shape and the way that we hold the guitar, but this is just general practices to get your playing sounding as good as possible, okay? And get you as relaxed as possible. Okay, let's get started. So, number 5. Bringing your arm too far over. Okay, so I've had a number of students in the past who, when they're holding the guitar, they will bring their arm just that little bit too far over, okay, so that their bicep is actually sitting on top of the corner of the guitar here, okay? And if you do that, you then need to kind of angle your hand like this. Let me just show you, okay? So if your bicep's here, okay, then you're going to have to do this with your hand, which is creating tension. If you just bring that back a little bit so that this part of the guitar sits on your elbow, then that will just be so much more comfortable. Okay, so not bringing your guitar too far over and then having to point into the sound hole. It should come back. The fold of your elbow should be relaxing into the edge of the guitar. So bring your arm back and then make sure it's just resting nicely over the sound hole. If you find that your arm is too far back, or sometimes even too far forward, it could be that the position of your arm, or it could also be that the instrument you have is the wrong size for you. Okay, cool. Let's have a look at number 4. Okay, moving your hands too far away from the sound hole. Now, what I mean by this is when you're strumming, what I'll often see sometimes people doing when they're getting used to it, which is kind of cool, but you've got to keep an eye on it, is they strum too far, right? Never had a student yet to hit themselves in the face, but they strum too far like this. It's something that I was very guilty of when I was first learning, okay? Now, with strumming like this, it does feel more like a motion, so I can understand why people are doing it. But what you need to be doing is really, we do have this scratch plate here, but unless we're like really heavily rocking out with some kind of down strums, okay, quite aggressive, then all we need to do is flick the wrist, okay? So we flick the wrist like this. There's no need to do this. It's wasteful, it doesn't achieve anything. As I said, can be used in punk and hard rock, but really we need to flick the wrist if we're strumming songs. So that's keeping the hand close to the sound hole. It should never really go too far down past the sound hole, and the same on the up strum. Rather than, so flick your wrist, don't move your arm. That's number 4. Okay, number 3, tensing your right hand when you're playing. Now, if you've got a plectrum in your hand like I have at the moment, what you're tempting to do is to keep your hand like this when you're strumming, okay? Now this makes you feel like you have more control over the plectrum. However, it doesn't work, okay? If you keep your hand tense like this, then what's going to happen is the plectrum's going to ping and spring away out of your fingers, which means you're then going to have to hold it even tighter, okay? So, the success to this, the key to this is relax these fingers, all right? Keep these fingers loose when you're strumming. They act as a pendulum when we strum. So you see that these fingers are free here, okay? I'm not going. So don't make a knuckle. It makes things easier and it makes it smoother to strum. It also gives your hand extra weight to give it a nice pendulum effect, as I've already mentioned, okay? So don't tense your hand when you're holding the plectrum. Keep everything relaxed. The only tension should be in this thumb and finger holding the plectrum. Everything else, chilled. Cool. Number 2, not raising your right leg or left leg if you're playing acoustic guitar. Sorry, if you're playing classical guitar, all right? Or if you're a lefty and the guitar's the other way around. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. There we go, we got that. So not raising your right leg. Raising your right leg makes our back straighter, okay? It brings the neck closer to us, and it just feels more comfortable. Over time, when I see the students play, they will try anything to try and get their right leg raised. It will just feel like the right thing to do. So why make it uncomfortable for yourself? Get yourself a footstool, put the footstool down. So that's just a little thing, a little device that you put your right leg on. It raises your right leg and instantly you're more comfortable. You don't have to reposition or adjust the guitar while you're strumming. It's just more comfortable that way. It's the way it is. Another sort of good practice is you can cross your legs, so that kind of brings the guitar higher, so it makes it more comfortable. Things that I would avoid is putting one foot on top of another to raise the right leg. If you're sitting on a sofa, then obviously that will raise your leg a little bit, but it then means that the guitar kind of sits on the side of the sofa, so it's pushing its way off, so keep an eye on that. What's the other things? So I think that's it really. I mean, in terms of when you're sitting down, you need to be able to make sure that both your legs can touch the floor, and if at all possible, just try to raise your right leg, okay? If your feet can't touch the floor and you've got to go on your tiptoes, that's going to be uncomfortable, okay? So raise your right leg. Cool. And now here we are at number 1, the biggest villain of all that I've seen with teaching beginners, okay? It is how you hold the pick. So many people, when they get hold of the plectrum, they will want to use other fingers like this, okay? This is not going to help you at all, okay? It's going to create more tension in your hand than's needed, and it means that the pick is going to be offering even more resistance against the strings, so it's going to sound very harsh. Actually, as a consequence, you actually need to grip tighter to keep the plectrum in your hand. So how should you hold it? Well, thumb and index, always. The thing that I've seen most common is this, and to get yourself out of that bad habit is really, really tough. I once had a student who had it just for a little while, but he managed to quash it by putting an elastic band around these 3 fingers so that he knew not to hold with that plectrum. Really, really smart thing to do, okay? So there's no need, and it's the most detrimental of putting your fingers like this on the pick. 2 fingers either side. Okay, so if you follow all those tips and all that advice, then you should be well on your way to eliminating any uncomfortableness when you're playing the guitar, really. I mean, you should never feel uncomfortable when you're playing the guitar. It should feel relaxed. The reason why the pros make it look so easy is because they're relaxed into it. You know, they've spent so much time making sure their body is chilled when they're playing. There's no tension. Any tension goes through our body, through our hands, and it comes out into the instrument, which makes things sound forced and just unnatural, really. Natural is the word that we're looking for here without all this whole lesson. So make sure that the guitar does feel as natural for you as possible. Eliminating those top 5 things will really take your playing to a really comfortable position. Cool. If you've really liked this, then I've got a beginner's guitar course over at my website. So if you go to learnguitarinlondon.com, you can get the first 4 videos for free currently. And also there's the beginner's guitar course there to take you through it, and this is going to be one of the lessons involved. Thanks very much for watching. See you over at the website. Take care. Bye.